Hey there, fellow travelers on this beautiful journey we call life. I would like to, first of all, thank you all for coming to check out the first Just a Thought podcast, which can be found on Anchor, and you can access it through heretoday.co, which is my website. And also, I would like to preface this episode by saying that anything I say is subject to modification, to change. My ideas, my character, my perspective, and beliefs and all that kind of stuff are always changing as I grow, as we develop. And so, yeah, like I said, thanks for coming, and let's just dive right in. Today I would just like to take a few minutes and, dive right in and speak of the different layers of our being. The multi-dimensional nature of ourselves as incarnates. As Walt Whitman said, if I contradict myself, I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes. And that's sort of what I want to speak on today. How on one level there's us as certain personalities, right? A curious person, or someone, a rebel, someone on the path. Maybe I'm a Steelers fan, or of this race, or this gender, or I'm an anxious person, or I'm excitable, I'm fun to be around. All these different reference points with which to identify, reference points of identification. But the thing is, we're not separate on all planes, right? We exist on all these different layers, planes, dimensions, viewpoints, in different reference points. And where on one level me and you might be one, me and my brother are one familial in the familial unit, we're also separate in various ways, from we might have a different taste in music, to being different sports teams fans, or identifying with different, anything. In other words, there are iterations of our being. I like that one. There are different iterations of our being. On one of them, even, there's us as human beings, as humankind. There's us as mammals, and them as, everything that isn't mammal. There's us as primates, right? Us as, humans and chimps and gorillas and apes and all that stuff. That's where Jane Goodall would sit, right? She was one of the apes, the monkeys, right? At least to them. I'm sure if someone some stranger came in and tried to harm her, they would stand in protection of her. And if someone came with a gun and tried to impose onto the apes, I'm sure she would have stood up, because you don't hurt one of us. Just like you don't hurt me, you stand up for yourself and us. And that's part of what this channel is about, or this podcast rather, is increasing awareness. Increasing awareness to the totality of our being, and that reference point where we are all us. It's all me. It's all, what's the saying? Tatwamasi, that thou art. That's you. That, you look up into the sky, or out into the beautiful field, or out at the rain. You say, why, that's me. It's the same stuff I'm made of. I'm looking at myself. You look into someone, and you looking at yourself, looking at yourself. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Also, it's important to note, it's not about substituting one for another. You know, you don't give up all your different reference points of identification for just, you know, I'm a mindful person, you know, I'm a meditator, and that's all I am. You know, I don't, yeah, we're all one, but I'm, you know, a higher being, right? That's not what it's about. It's really, I'm just offering a curious perspective on life. Just a thought, right? And in doing so, maybe bring some awareness to the deeper parts of our being, different layers of ourselves. And doing that in such a way so as to not get sucked in by the projection of other minds when one of us comes up to me or to you and makes us them, you know, makes you object. Being centered enough in our own being, in the unfolding of our own selves and who we are, that we're not swayed when that happens. We're like, so that one can be like the unmoved candle, you know? So that none of the winds of change sway you. And you're just that still candle. But that's the paradox of consciousness, isn't it? To be or not to be, right? In any case, it's something that I feel we could all use today, you know, in this crazy, chaotic world. Is just some more peace, maybe equanimity, mindfulness, some greater awareness, not only identifying, rather being aware of the greater implications of ourselves, the deeper iterations, the infinite iterations of each of our beings. Allowing the natural process of our lives to play out. Because every action has an equal or opposite reaction, right? That's the first law of thermodynamics. It's cause and effect. Well, that cause and effect applies to everything in the material world, or observable universe, physical reality. Taking that into consideration, it would seem that even our bodies follow that law of unfolding events. This leads to that, which leads to this, which leads to that, and so on, like a row of dominoes. But we can't look very far in either direction, can we? We never know if this is, you know, the end of the chain of dominoes or the beginning, if you just put something into motion, or if this very moment right now is the middle, you know, a part of some greater causal chain. You see, in any case, our awareness is here and now. So we can't look, you know, a second ago or half a millisecond into the future to get a better vantage point. This vantage point is what you got. I'm not sure if that if that applies very well to the paradox of consciousness, but I would like to continue and say that we are all interwoven through these chain reactions of the world. The net of Indra, I believe it's called. Though we like to think of ourselves as creators of our own reality, as architects of our lives, I can't shake the sense that this isn't completely true. And the key word is completely, because it is true. You do create your own reality. And literally, in a sense, literally, because the light goes into your eyes, which your brain then decodes, and so your body, your biological vehicle, is literally processing and thus creating the reality which the witness experiences. The witness being that awareness that just is you, me. It just is. Could it be? Is it possible that our thoughts and emotions are how the body and mind come to understand our life's unfolding? Could it be that our thoughts and emotions are part of those causal chains of action, reaction, action, reaction, and so forth? Because, the wheels that were set in motion to produce mankind are part of what connects us to each other, right? And I find that very interesting. It's awesome, it's awful, it's the paradox of consciousness, really, to be or not to be. Are we or aren't we? It's, and we're like in a perpetual state of that. I heard a lecture the other day of Alan Watts, and he was talking about how the rhythm of life is between remembering and not remembering who you are. And I found that very interesting. I don't want to speak much further on that right now, but I just wanted to give you all a taste for the kind of stuff that I'm going to be talking about, and I might have people, friends, family, anyone who wants to come on and speak of these different things, on the nature of reality, on the human condition, the curious predicament in which we find ourselves here today. And leave you guys every time with just a thought. So thanks for coming.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts.